Yeah, Mark Corcoran, look at the difference Tom Brady makes to different franchises. Yeah, and look at where the Pats have gone downhill, and obviously the Bucks have gone from fairly average team to looking in decent shape to win a 2 in a row Super Bowls. Elf Kedor 09 says, I remember seeing a guy at 3 a.m. fall around the town, and he was man of the match in senior championship final the next day. That is a sort of story here, but of course there's plenty of examples of a lad who'll have a few cheeky pints and he'll go out and be a disgrace the next day.
That's true, yeah. That's true.
The kind of works both ways. I got caught once or twice in league games. So I didn't realise there was a game on the next day. And so I ended up having 1 or 2 pints and, being scandalous. These things happen, don't they?
Yeah, well, at least the thing is, Shane, as long as you have an excuse, you're okay after the game. If you play badly and you don't have an excuse, you weren't out the night before, your preparation was perfect and all this, then you're in a bit of trouble.
Do you ever hear of the term performance insurance? So
yes.
Like for anyone who doesn't know this, there's a friend of mine, and like if I had a match coming up and I said, geez, the hamstring isn't feeling great, and he said, oh, a bit of performance insurance, is it? So this is something you say so that if you play poorly afterwards, you can say, actually, look, the hamstring wasn't great. Or if people get the word around it, or so, if word goes around the village or parish that a lad had, his back was bad coming into the game, so get the word out there. So if you play poorly, everyone will start.
That's awful. That's awful.
It's the performance insurance. Oh, he had a few pints there. Performance insurance. I wasn't actually that bad. It was just some other factor was the reason that I wasn't.
The funny thing about that, Shane, is that particularly at particularly elite club level and county level, there is no performance insurance at all. And I think people are just say like someone gets skinned in a game. Nobody knows, whether he was having, whether there were family issues the night before or whether he was sick coming into the game. You know what I mean? People are very harsh when you step between the white lines. You're there to be judged and people will judge you very harshly. And a lot of the time, people don't know really what's going on behind the scenes or if they're kind of mitigating factors for a poor performance in particular.
Yeah, I see a comment in here from the older you get, the longer the pints last. And there was another comment in here a second ago. Yeah, Padjo Clifford. Years ago in my club, one of the selectors gave a few lads a drop of whiskey before they went out into the pitch for a senior county final. They lost. I don't know if that's the reason why. But actually, I did an interview with Michael Cahill, former Tipperary hurler, and you can check it out in the playlist there in our game. And he talked about having a little half on the night before All-Ireland finals. And even, Billy Morgan, obviously the legendary goalkeeper in Cork, with Nemo Rangers, I think they were against Scottstown in maybe the 92 All-Ireland Club final. He had a drop of port at half-time because it was so freezing.
That's funny, because Shane, I was only thinking about this the other day. I was actually thinking back to that interview you did with Mickey Cahill. Because obviously GAA players aren't going to be breathalyzed before games or anything like that. But the jockey, Oisin Murphy, was to ride at Newmarket last Friday and he failed the racecourse breathalyzer, even though he was below the drink driving limit. He was over the racecourse breathalyzer limit. And I often wonder, I'm only thinking back to, like, would there be many GAA players that would have missed games if there had been a GAA breathalyzer before certain games? And I'm certain that there would have been.
Without question. I marked the lad one day and I was nearly drunk just from getting within the sphere of his breath. I swear to God. And he had a scandalous game the same day. Thank God. He was a former county hurler too, so I was only delighted to get the pound of beer off him. But yeah, it does happen. And obviously it sounds like we're trivializing it the whole lot. There are situations where it's a bit of crack, but like there are situations where it's completely not right too.
Johnny Pilkington won a Fitzgibbon Cup one time and he'd been on the Raz, I think, at a wedding the night before, and he came back and played for UCD the next day. And now the story has absolutely reached mythological standing at this stage that he was doing X, Y, and Z now, and he said that's not true, but he did have a fair feed of pints that night before going to bed.
Joe LK20, what about performance enhancement insurance? No drug testing in GAA, hilarious. Well, there is, but there's not that much, and certainly not at club level. If you enjoyed this piece of content, please follow us on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the page, which helps the channel grow. And if you want audio podcasts, go to patreon.com/ourgame.